Okay, today I'm going to talk about blame. Well, everybody is spitting on blame, right? But what you have to know is when you go through a traumatic experience, it doesn't matter if you take the illusion seriously and you get lost in it, because this is basically what happens. However, you cannot deny that the event happened. I mean, yes, your higher self knows that whole thing is a hologram and we should not take this so seriously. However, our human part and human self really gets caught up sometimes in replaying the event in our brain. So you have to, although you understand that it's your responsibility because you also played 50% of the whole, in the whole event, your part, right? So when you are a grown-up person and you keep choosing events or people or friends or romantic partners or whomever who you actually attract based on your dysfunctional self and the resonance which is within you, because it has to still leave you, so to speak, you are a grown-up. It might not be that you're emotionally fully grown up and mature. However, when you are on a spiritual path, a lot of us know that we are responsible for our own creations, right? However, they are those underlying buttons that are pushed or triggered. However, once you're done with the event, let's say you get out of a dysfunctional relationship, it doesn't matter, friendship, family, relationship, work, I don't know, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship. But when you get out of it, a lot of us have this, inner judge. That inner judge is constantly criticizing us for, why we did it, what happened, whatever. And a lot of us empaths, especially intuitive empaths, who get caught up, because you're so honest or you're already transparent, you have those very refined frequencies already, you did this whole inner work. But still, you cannot delete life. I mean, we would love to, right? But, people will cross your path no matter what. And some of them are, there to cross you and cross your path in order to release something. But still, your human part is still in that thing, get caught up, and then you keep replaying that. I used to have that too, keep replaying the event in my mind. And I was really self-badgering myself, So sometimes I just, funnily I say to myself when I start doing this and I observe my own mind and I observe these tendencies, and, when they come in line, actually, and again, start, I would start doing that, run that program, run that thought, program. And then I just say, Your Honor, she's badgering the witness. Well, it's her witness. So I'm just, kind of really, I took this line from The Liar Liar, with Jim Carrey. And this is really like, I have to laugh right away because it's just so amazing. But you have to stay in the watcher and the observer position. And, but anyhow, the anger that is accompanied that event, and let's say you allowed another one to use you in a way. Of course, you were the one who were using you. So you take responsibility for 50% of the whole thing. But the other 50% is the other person's too, because you're kind, you're nice, whatever. But, when people see that you are kind and nice, a lot of them who are not conscious, they want to abuse your kindness. They want to use you. They want to use you for their benefit, whatever. So it is up to you to really enter that thing in that moment, or get self-conscious and say, only according to my terms. But a lot of us had these things in the past, that somehow when you were a child or even past lifetimes, you got really you became slave to servitude. And you became slave to servitude so much that you just, it just keeps replaying. And I had a dream once, how these old worn out shoes were dancing by themselves. So pay attention to your dreams, because your dreams are always telling you when you start running an autopilot stuff, something, a program, which was triggered by someone from past lifetimes, because maybe they were there many times with you and you were playing that stuff. So it gets triggered. It gets triggered so much that it's like you're finding yourself back into the same crap, because, you just don't stop the game. You just allow this thing to take over you. And so basically, this is a conditioning. So basically, just have to be observant. You have to exercise self-discipline. It is not easy, I'm telling you, because when you have a conditioned self, a fragment of your soul, which was created by traumatic events in the past, and it doesn't matter if this is this incarnation or another incarnation. So when that was created, that part of you still have to so-called heal itself and have to uninstall and dissolve that button, as I very often mention this. But this is really the best description, I came up with for myself, because I was working on myself, right? So for years you're doing that. And of course, we who are here to completely really self-liberate ourselves from suffering, and this becomes your ultimate goal. This will be your ultimate goal. Once you're done with the other part of the stuff, you kind of a little bit take yourself out of circulation of the human experiences, because you're just doing such a deep self-work that basically this is what you're going to be your full-time job. So when you are in a full-time awakening and in full-time liberating yourself to become your self-sovereign, self-governed self, you coming home to yourself. This is what you do. So stopping the self-badgering has a lot to do to express your anger, express your rage, express that blame. And at the same time, so I say, simultaneously, equally, you also admit your own responsibility. But to recover from trauma bond and Stockholm syndrome, which is kind of like an attachment to your abuser. Of course, you are your abuser too, because you allow a situation. When you're a grown-up person, you can say no anytime. You can take yourself out of a situation no matter what. And all depends on your courage and whatever. And of course, sometimes I understand that there are different circumstances. So I'm not saying that, so you have to watch out for your own self-preservations every time, of course. And there are certain times when the time is right to take that out and go away from that situation and all that stuff. But when you have no fear anymore and you just realize, because let's say the past traumatic experience and all the fear that came up with that experience is dissolved, and you come back into your conscious self and you regain clarity again, because for a while until it plays out, it's really not easy. But you must stay conscious. But sometimes it's not easy because the addiction and the conditional self is so screwed up that it's like a haze over your eyes, a haze over your mind. It's like this really getting lost in that frequency, that re-triggered frequency. It's basically a morphogenetic field that is really taking over. It comes alive, actually. So when that morphogenetic field, the distorted morphogenetic field, is really you reliving it. And so this is what you have to know. It's a distorted morphogenetic field which comes back up in order to understand it, consciously approach it, and then just know that there is nothing to fear. It's a past feeling. It is a past thing which was triggered in order to be released. So stop badgering yourself. If you can, eventually, once you realize that that's what you're doing, you're halfway there. And so you no longer badger yourself. You no longer judge yourself. Keep saying to yourself, when that comes up, it came over me. I say, I forgive myself. And because this is what you have to start with. It's not even to forgive the other, because you cannot forgive the other before you get angry at them. So just realize that there is a processing, and there are step 1, step 2, step 3. There are those things. First, you're gonna get angry, and it is healthy to get angry. Because as a person, if you don't wanna keep replaying that in your mind, you have to express your anger. You have to express, and you can express your anger in your own environment. Let's say you go out in a forest and yell it out. I don't know, put a chair in front of you and imagine that there is that person. I've done that with my ex-husband, and to release all that pain. And so basically you do it in a safe and constructive manner for yourself, but don't hold back. Express that anger, write it out, yell it out. It does not matter. I did not say you go out and yell at somebody, because this is what, if somebody is not processing anger and rage correctly and in a constructive manner, those are the ones that go out and kill somebody, or those are the ones who are going to drown themselves in alcohol or any type of other addiction, substance abuse, and etc. Because it's what really hurts you is your self-deception. Because this is what you are really angry at yourself, of course, because you allowed it. You allowed your love to become so much more for the other person that it became more for them than for yourself. So basically, this is what happened. And this is why you're so upset. Your true self is so upset at you because you're betraying yourself. Nobody can betray you unless you allow someone to become more important to you and you become more attached to them than to your own self-preservations and self-love and self-appreciation and self-care. So we have these old caretaker roles that you think that you have to take care of other people. You don't have to take care of other people. And this is when, it becomes this doormat spirituality, this really where spirituality, distorted spirituality, which is traditional spirituality, is like, okay, you have you're already unconditional love. That is your essence. And then they tell you and you believe to those things, plus you used to be one in old times, and those are re-triggered because they're washing out of your system. But you still force yourself. It's basically your own lies that you are going to strip away everything. So before you start badgering yourself and keep badgering, because this is what stays in you. Like a lot of times I kept replaying that event in my mind and I kept going back, but I went back. There is a purpose to it too, that you finally dare to express your anger, dare to express your feelings, because traditional spirituality says, it's not nice to be angry, or those are negative feelings. And because you repress them, it's like a cork. You try to push it down underneath, and then it keeps coming back up. And you have to allow it to come up. Because this is exactly what happens with the people who are taking antidepressants. They try to numb themselves. They try to numb those feelings which are here to be released. That is what the whole spiritual awakening is about, to allow yourself to release 26,000 years of anger, okay? I mean, this is like when people tell me they had a sudden awakening, I say, please, just fuck off with that bullshit, because it's not like that. Because true transformation will go on for a while, because you have so much to clear. I did not say there are no awakening periods and certain insights coming up within the awakening and the whole enlightenment process. There is, but it's like an awakening and an awakening within the awakening, right? So it's like little processes, processing, and then, again go into more intense part, and this and that and whatever. It's a gradual process, but it's not gonna happen, if you really, really, really are here for the completion. And I'm talking about self-liberation, complete self-liberation from suffering, because this is your ultimate goal eventually. I did not say it's gonna be everybody's goal when they're not ready. Some people are just gonna live their life this one, and they're not gonna be awakened, and they're not gonna do final transformation this lifetime. They maybe need to live another 500. It's not that everybody will do it and take it all the way. Some of us are here to do this, and but not everybody. So each one of us are on a different level. But I'm talking to those whose actual spiritual goal and the mission of their soul is to complete the awakening, the self-liberation. It's really like, actually become your full Buddha, whatever. Of course, you are different, and we are in a different times, and we can even take it further. We are taking it further than anybody else took it. Because and let's suppose, okay, that Jesus realized it to a certain way, and love your enemies and all that stuff and whatever, and all the bullshit that they came up with, because you cannot love your enemies. There are no enemies in the first place. So okay, there is a little glitch in that one. And however, you cannot love really truly until you cleared all of that underlying stuff. And the underlying stuff is not just about this lifetime. The underlying shit, all those buttons that keep moving you in a certain way, are also related to past lifetimes. And this is what I'm talking about, is that really full final liberation. And so the self-badgering is also another thing, okay? So do not. There is this inner judge, there is this inner critic, there is this inner whatever. But what you have to know is blame is good for you. Anger is good for you. Rage is good for you. You only need to express it in a safe environment for you when you're alone. And you gotta, and all, everything, you can do anything. If you want to throw pillows, what do I know? I did not say, break your whole apartment. But anyway, really just express it. Because, this is the spiritual sickness and disease that they teach you to hold those feelings back, because they label it negative. And this is really lengthening the process of your getting healthy and to completely liberate yourself from all the pain, because it's really, you got to express it. So first you have to, and then and simultaneously, it does not mean that you're not taking responsibility. Yes, you do, But this has to happen for you in order to overcome the pain. So first you have to allow yourself to express this. Because you see, the thing is, when I meet people and I see myself, my past selves in them, that they're all this polite and all this whatever. And then when I don't look at them, and then I see somebody talking to their kid or whatever, and then I can feel, because I see and I can feel the unexpressed anger which is lying dormant in them. And so those are the things. And so it's the same thing as not being authentic, because they just show this all so nice, whatever. It's the pretender part of them, and still not allowing themselves to show, their true feelings. And this makes them suffer more. And that's why they're looking for certain individuals, to take their energy in that sense, because they don't know how to relieve themselves. So stay away from that shit. Don't pick up other people's shit, okay? And so please, we are not here to take care of other people, but really to take care of ourselves. And I'm only sharing these things because I think that my videos will really help you to understand it on a much wider level, because I'm saying not just from one angle, but I make you understand it from all kinds of different angles. And I remember when people said, you explain it so much in detail. Yes, because I see it all in details. I see it from above and I see it from all around. It's the same metaphor that I used to use, and, now just came to mind, of course, not by accident, that, when somebody was telling me one side of their story, they cannot see they cannot even see the other side, not thousands of them or hundreds of them at the same time. And so I say, just imagine that we are like 30 of us in a room. And let's make a big circle where 30 people fit in one circle. I put an apple in the middle, and then I ask you what kind of color the apple has. And I ask Jane, who is sitting at 12 o'clock, let's say, in the room, and says, well, it's yellow. And then I ask, Peter, who sits on at 6 o'clock, and I say, so what color the apple has? And they say, oh, well, it's red. And then I ask somebody who's sitting at 3 o'clock and then 9 o'clock, and each one of them say different colors. And guess what? Everybody is right. And where am I sitting? I'm sitting above it, and I see it all. So this is what you are going to become, actually. This is how you are going to be able to see things. But that does not mean that you have to disregard your own life, because you understand everybody, but that does not mean that you have to forget to understand you and what feels best to you in the moment. So it was very hard for us to kind of come into terms with that when we were in the processing of processing, because this is what you did not understand, that all of a sudden you could not stand in your power because you were like in this powerless field of you understand everybody. And so this is when I write down understand, right? Why am I understanding under everybody? I understand everybody, but understanding, because I am not exercising my ego, which everybody wants to get rid of, which is like the biggest lie of this whole thing. Because in the physical realm, ego is a part of you. It's as much a part of you than your unconditional love essence, which is your basic essence. But not everybody can understand it and see it in such detail. And this is what makes the difference, you see? That you understand it, but that does not mean that you are going to disregard yourself because you understand everybody, and just as might as well you let them roll over you, no? I mean, become, and this is when during the process of processing, sometimes you become this doormat, this spiritual doormat to everybody who is using you, and they're walking all over you. And so eventually when you've done that, you say, listen, kids, there is only self-acceptance and self-love and your intuition, which is your leading edge, and that's it. Energies don't lie, people do. So you just have to realize that eventually you're coming back home to yourself, but home to yourself means balance. Your whole self coming back to balance, to self. So then you will stop all that badgering yourself and all that other stuff. But until you really come back into balance, you will have those things and processing, and you will have I would say, not an easy time until you did not clear and purge all of the distorted beliefs and conceptual thinkings. And while it helps you to come home to yourself, but it feels like you are powerless during those years, and you feel like, oh my God, it's just this automated self which is not fully. It feels like I'm not fully awake. I feel like I'm dreaming. I feel like whatever, and it's a confusion time and all that stuff. But that will clear. That will clear, and you're gonna be so much in power and solid in your beingness that it will be worth it. It's just it takes time, because the whole purging process is really, if that is the soul's mission, to come home to self-liberation, complete self-liberation of suffering, well, you're gonna go through that. So it just makes it easier to understand that please do not suppress your true feelings further than it had been. Because this is exactly what every spiritual person does, that eventually they keep doing the same shit, because all the old spirituality, the traditional spirituality, comes back online, fully alive, and you're gonna go through it in order to understand it. So of course, everything is in order, no matter how you think that it's not, okay? So express your true feelings. Do not label them as wrong, but embrace the process of processing, basically, okay? Thank you.